I'm going to tell you the story of what Yahusha is fulfilling when he said he did not come to destroy but to fulfill. I was having a conversation with a sister on here privately, but and I'm not going to name her name, but I want to tell you the story because the story is absolutely beautiful and it helps to make it make sense. And don't mind if I'm looking down at my notes. So there were two tribes in the land initially, the northern tribe of Israel and the southern tribe of Judah. We think that Judah is the tribe that is in the land today. The northern tribe of Israel was scattered to the four corners of the earth for adultery. They were given a bill of divorce by Yah in Jeremiah chapter 3. So while the southern kingdom of Judah has returned to the land, the northern tribe never returned. And they tell you throughout the Old Testament, this is a story that's told all throughout the Old Testament, they tell you that these people were integrated into the lands that they were sent to. So when the Babylonians or whoever took them captive, they dispersed them. And they were integrated into the people that they went to, whatever country, tribe, nation that was. My personal belief is that a lot of them are in the Christian church today. So keeping in mind that Yah gave Israel a bill of divorce in Jeremiah chapter 3, in the Old Testament, if a woman was given a certificate of divorce, she could not go and marry another man because technically that would be considered, that other man would be considered an adulterer. The only way that woman could remarry was if her husband died. What the Messiah did for us by dying on the cross and becoming the sacrificial lamb was he allowed us to be remarried to the Father. Even more beautiful is he is fulfilling the story from the Old Testament of the feasts. The Father laid this out so beautifully. So the beginning of the year, the Father's year, is in the spring, right before the Feast of Passover. Yahusha died on the Feast of Passover, fulfilling the Passover lamb, where you had to smear the lamb's blood over your doorpost so that the angel of death would pass over you. And he became that lamb, that blood for us. He rose from the dead on the Feast of Unleavened Bread, fulfilling that feast. He ascended to the Father on the Feast of First Fruits, and he became the first fruits of his brothers and sisters who would follow later in the end times. Because right now, no one is in heaven. Everyone is asleep. If you read the Bible, you don't die and go up to heaven. You're asleep right now. Then he sent his Spirit, the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, into his apostles on the feast of Shavuot, which is Pentecost. Penta meaning 50 days later after he sent his Spirit, the Holy Spirit. When they were in the book of Acts, when they were all speaking in tongues, that was that day, that feast. Now that's only half the story. He only fulfilled half of the story. He's going to fulfill the fall feast when he comes back the second time. The rapture will be the Feast of Trumpets. You know, the reference to trumpets in the book of Revelation. He's going to fulfill the rapture then. He's going to fulfill the Feast of Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, when Israel and Judah will atone for their sins during tribulation. And lastly, he will fulfill the Feast of Sukkot, which is tabernacles, when we tabernacle with him in heaven at the marriage supper of the Lamb. So you see, all is not fulfilled yet. Okay, in the book of Matthew, chapter 4, Yahusha says, "Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. I did not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, one yod or one tittle shall by no means pass from the law till all be fulfilled." Now, two things about that. He is fulfilling those feasts, but he is only half done. And the other thing is that the heaven and earth hasn't passed away. That happens at the very end of the book of Revelation when the new heaven and the new earth come. And right after that, he said in that same verse in the book of Matthew, he said, but whoever then breaks one of these commandments and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of heavens. But whoever does them and teaches men to do so will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. So heaven and earth have not passed away, and Yahusha has only fulfilled half of the story which Yah laid out for us, and can only be understood when you begin to understand the Hebrew stories and the Old Testament stories, and especially the prophets. And sadly, this stuff is not taught today.